He doesn't run. He doesn't try to get away. This is a guy who's not trying to run away. And, for anybody who says, well, we don't know what the motive is, it's in our face.
Okay, we have a massive update regarding Mohamed Soliman. If you're unaware, this is his mugshot, the man who committed the terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. It turns out his attack was planned, premeditated, and we now know there were other Molotov cocktails in the area that could have been used on other people. Let's dig into it.
And we are learning this morning that the suspect has now been charged with first-degree murder. That's according to the Boulder County Sheriff's Office daily booking sheet. Important to note, though, that authorities have not confirmed formally that anyone died in the attack, and there's been no update on the condition of the other injured victims. We're working to track down more details as the investigation continues.
Now, this is very crucial. When you get charged with first-degree murder, this is an implication of intent and also the implication of this was planned. Now, we also know this due to the fact there were other incendiary devices in the area, meaning Molotov cocktails. And it wasn't just a couple, we're talking 16 Molotov cocktails were found in the area. Again, this is crucial as far as looking into the planning of this.
They had no vetting process. This is something President Trump has been calling attention to for years. He talked about this on the campaign trail, how the Biden administration was allowing illegal aliens from all over the world to come into our country illegally, unvetted, untested. We had a wide open border policy, and the president was right to point that out in his statement this morning. All of that has come to an end, though, John, and this administration is focused on deporting as many of these illegal aliens who entered our country as possible.
Now, this is the other side of this story, of course, is the fact that he is in the country illegally. And even though we have all of these laws to protect American citizens, a lot of the blame is being shifted to Joe Biden that, look, you have created this catastrophe. We have all of these illegal immigrants you cannot track. You had somebody who was in this country illegally we were not able to track, and now the worst of the worst has occurred. Leave your comments down below how you feel about this.
Again, this is not going to be a place of asylum for those who seek to do harm in the United States of America. We have a legal immigration process for a reason that this administration is focused on strengthening. But in the meantime, we are conducting widespread deportation operations across this country to remove terrorists like this individual from our communities every single day.
And I also want to remind everyone, contextually speaking today, the Trump administration, again, has changed the wording for a lot of these gang members to terror members. So when you have illegal immigrants who were former gang members, now terror members, Mohamed falls in that category of not only a terror member, but also now an illegal immigrant, which is what the Trump administration has been trying to push and tell us. We have terrorists in the country. That is why we are performing these mass deportations.
Yeah, well, it's right in front of our face, Savannah. And as you point out, in the center of Boulder, the building behind the attacker in the video is the courthouse. And, I think what's important here to note in the investigation, as we're discussing, he doesn't run. He doesn't try to get away. This is a guy who's not trying to run away. And, for anybody who says, well, we don't know what the motive is, it's in our face. He's throwing it right at us. He's attacking Jewish citizens who are walking for hostages, and the target is part of motive.
And I do want to point out, when this attack initially happened, I've played it on my videos before, CNN news anchors were mad at Kash Patel and the FBI for deeming this a terrorist attack. They said, well, we don't know the motives, we heard what he's saying, we see what's happening, but, we got to be very careful what we call this. Now, as far as why is the state of Colorado not calling this a terrorist attack, well, technically they can't, because they don't have terrorist laws. They do have hate crime laws. They can give you murder charges, but as far as terrorist charges, that can't be done in Colorado. They don't have that ability as a state. That is up to the federal government, which is why the FBI is looking into this as a terrorist attack.
He's yelling free Palestine and, anti-Semitic statements. It's right in front of us. So it's a hate crime, it's a terror crime, and it's ice cold-blooded murder. And the district attorney has charged 2 counts of murder this morning. We didn't know that last night, that any victims had died, but now they have charged 2 counts of murder.
And again, in order for you to get that charge, you would have to tick the boxes, one of them being premeditated. And again, as we saw, we know there were Molotov cocktails in the area. People don't just walk around with spray bottles of fuel to light people on fire. And witnesses in the area even said this guy was yelling "Free Palestine." We have it on footage. So this is all lining up specifically to be a terror attack.
And, other counts of attempted murder and assault and using a weapon. So when we watch the video, it's pretty clear. Here's the assailant. He's got 2 carafes of what we now know is a flammable liquid, clear flammable liquid, most likely gasoline, could be something else, kerosene, or could be something else. And he's got a backpack sprayer behind him. That was probably his improvised flamethrower.
Now, we also have a ton of eyewitness accounts and people in the area, I'm going to call them heroes, who were helping the wounded who were burned from the Molotov cocktails as Mohamed was yelling and shouting at the exact same time.
I was like looking at the courthouse, maybe like 150 feet away, and I saw like some flags moving around and like just like people like wrestling, and it looked like someone was getting beat up or something. So I kind of just like went over there and I was like, oh mom, like something's happening, like this isn't good. I saw like this big fire go up and it looked like a lot of the front area of the courthouse, like the grass, I think it's like cement too right there, was on fire. I think it went out pretty quickly. But while there's still kind of patches of fire, I started running over and I hung up on the phone with my mom. I called 911. And they were like, I said there's a fire on Pearl, and he was like, okay, yeah, help is on the way, we're getting a bunch of calls. So I hung up the phone and people were yelling. There was a kid yelling like call 911. People on the street were just yelling call 911. People were running. And I jumped over this like tiny little fence over to these 2 ladies on the grass, and it was 2 older ladies, just like kind of rolling around a little bit. They were in their underwear because they had like stripped their pants, obviously. And yeah, I was just like, how can I help? And they had like really bad burns all up on their legs. And then I went over to this other grass area that was like right by the front entrance. And there was another lady on the ground with really bad burns on her legs, just like screaming. And as like that was happening, I was talking to this girl. I was like, what's happening? Like, what's happening? Like, is everything okay? Like, how can we help? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, he's just yelling. And we look over and see this guy just shirtless, screaming stuff. I couldn't make out anything he was saying. But he was just...
And we now have on footage, when it came out only 10 minutes after this attack, he was yelling stuff about Free Palestine, yelling at Israelis, talking about Zionism, things like that.
Screaming. And he had like a container or like a glass with gasoline in it, I'm assuming, and he was just kind of holding that, waving around. Some guy had mentioned before I was running over that he was armed, but I don't know if that was true.
Nope.
But yeah, so he was just screaming. People were kind of standing in his face like with cameras, just like, obviously to get videos of it, because yeah, lady that was rolling around on the ground, she was wrapped in a flag. And I could like not even make out her face. Like, it looked like a lot of her hair sorry, I don't want to be like gruesome, but.
And I'm glad she's being detailed here because we need to know exactly what happened. The only reason why I'm really covering a lot of this is because there are media members out there who are afraid to say what it is. And we know why they're afraid to say what it is. But at the same time, this is crucial because this adds to the evidence and this is the narrative. This is not a made-up story. This actually happened. We have the fullness of the footage and the reports and the eyewitness accounts. Again, some people are afraid to call this a terror attack. The FBI was not. Within 30 minutes of it happening, we already had all of the footage and the evidence. We can see what's happening. We know what he's yelling. We know what he's doing. Now, Ronda Santis is going to say what the majority of Americans want to say. The majority of conservatives, there's Democrats out there who can't say this, but Ronda Santis will say it for you.
But why are we letting people like this guy into the country from Colorado? He should have never been here to begin with, and he sure as hell should have been sent home when this visa expired. And this is the wages of having basically an open border for 4 years under the previous administration. But this whole thing and you saw it starting on October 7th, you saw what's happened at our universities, you've seen attacks against Jews, you saw the 2 Israelis in D.C., you see this Colorado. This is really sick, but we've got to take this seriously, and you shouldn't be allowing this, having policies that allow this to foment. I do think that there's a lot that goes on, quite frankly, in some of the lies that get spread in the media that probably get some of these guys wound up. But it's really, now we've done a lot in Florida over the years.
Yeah, Florida, every single day, they are deporting a ton of illegal immigrants. Now, the divide is this. The Democrats are looping everyone as an illegal immigrant. On the conservative side, hold on. When you are undocumented, as you like to say, and an illegal immigrant, this gives room for anything to happen. Now, again, fortunately, nothing too insane has happened as far as what Mohamed has done, but it can happen and it opens up the door. You have no way to track this guy. He was able to stay here after a working visa. We know he's of Egyptian descent, Egyptian nationality, and we know he is anti-Israeli. We know this due to the intent of the attack, what he was yelling during the attack. So conservatives are arguing this could have happened for the longest time, and now that it's finally happened, it has proven our point. Unfortunately, in this country, we always wait until the worst of the worst happens until addressing the situation. And to be honest with you, actually, the leadership of the Democrat Party, Hakeem Jeffries, came out, flat out said this was a terror attack on Jewish people. So I'll give him that. But as far as a lot of the reporting that was going on, CNN, MSNBC, talking to you, it was a bit disgraceful how they were initially reporting this story.
This is nothing new for us to be responding. When October 7th happened, we were rescuing Americans out of Israel. We did that before Biden even did it, and he was the president of the United States. So we have done security for Jewish day schools. After October 7th, we sent highway patrol and other assets. So I don't know what we've received. I haven't personally. That doesn't mean that one of our agencies hasn't, but we'll continue to respond the way that we've always responded. This type of stuff will not fly in Florida, and we will do what we can, obviously, to prevent. And certainly, if anyone makes the mistake of doing what this guy in Colorado, you will absolutely live to regret that.
And honestly, this does look like we're going to enter a new phase of the Trump administration as far as deportations. Now that we know this is the level that can be achieved, and honestly speaking, we are very fortunate it didn't get even worse. What if he had a firearm? What if he had some other devices? We know he had some other things planned, but we're thankful it didn't go onto the mass level it could have gone. It already went too far, and now that it's gone too far, it does look like DHS, Homeland Security, Trump administration, everyone is on board with these deportations. The gloves are off. This is it. It's gone too far. Sanctuary cities most likely are going to be targeted next as far as who are in your cities. That's it. Everybody's gone.
With that in mind, what will investigators look for here?
Well, they're going to be looking for connections, not only in the U.S., but in Egypt. They're going to see if he's part of a group. Was he ever interacting with any other group that's involved with Palestine?
And if you're unaware, when it comes to Egypt, remember over in New Jersey, there was a senator getting bribes over in Egypt. And I know this is a totally different situation, but this is not an uncommon occurrence as far as Egyptian ties to infiltrating the United States, getting to a U.S. senator.
Or is he just taking this on as, a fellow countryman or Arab or person who sympathized with the situation in Gaza? So they'll be looking at all those connections. They'll be looking at the immigration status. He was overstayed his visa. He wouldn't have been able to buy a firearm or anything because he would be illegally in the country. But he, used these improvised weapons. It's interesting to note, just to think about, that a flamethrower does not fall under federal law, as a destructive device or bomb. And, our congressional leaders and staffers up there should think about that. He had a sentence for us, putting a flamethrower under the National Firearms Act, the section on bombs and grenades. where we could interrupt things like that, maybe catch somebody making one or in possession of one, it would really help. Maybe that's something that could be bipartisan regulation.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this would be passed as far as flamethrowers. Again, if you're wondering why would anyone need a flamethrower, this guy obviously was able to bypass the system and build one or make a makeshift one. If you live in the country, you know exactly why you need a flamethrower. It's a convenient way to burn unwanted crops, to burn weeds, to burn a bug's nest, things like that. So flamethrowers, if you live in the sticks, as we say, it is a necessary tool and a very convenient tool. So I can see this kind of going into that Second Amendment thing where a lot of conservatives don't want you touching, to include a lot of Democrats, actually. So I don't think this would get passed as far as getting rid of flamethrowers because it is used as a tool, generally speaking.
Regulating flamethrowers. We would hope so. But anyway, Molotov cocktails have been strictly regulated for 90 years. So we'll have those federal charges, lots of state charges. This guy's the ultimate poltroon and coward. And those citizens who were walking and everybody who helped them and the Boulder police are the ones with the courage and the bravery yesterday.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And by the way, Mohamed had a $10 million bond if you wanted to bail him out. I also do want to point out again, this is crucial. When it comes to terror charges in Colorado, it is not applicable to him, which is why he's probably being hit with the highest of charges, obviously murder and hate crime charges. So this is why the FBI was very quick to say, we're going to look into this as a terror suspect and a terrorist event. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. God bless, and we'll see you all later.